This is what I'll say about the nominees that the president has put forward, is that they are persons who will shake up the status quo. And I think what the American people have believe and what they've delivered with the mandate in this election is a demand that we shake up the status quo. It's not working for the American people.
Child, that was House Speaker Mike Johnson earlier today trying to put the proverbial lipstick on a pig by defending Donald Trump's many controversial and unqualified cabinet picks. But congressional Democrats are urging their fellow Republicans to not fall for the okie doke.
A Republican senator who takes a vote to consent to the appointment of Matt Gaetz, a chaos agent, a performative social media, no respect for the rule of law individual, the Republican senator who votes to confirm Matt Gaetz or Robert Kennedy or Tulsi Gabbard will be remembered by history as somebody who completely gave up their responsibility to Donald Trump.
Joining me now, Amisha Cross, Democratic strategist and former Obama campaign advisor, and former Congressman Joe Walsh, a former Republican from the great state of Illinois and director of The Social Contract. Amisha, Joe, welcome back to the Sunday Show. So I want both of y'all's reactions to the two sound bites that we played, but Joe?
These nominees, Jonathan, good to be with you as always, are not about shaking up the status quo. I don't want to laugh about this. It's all about getting revenge and retribution for Trump. Trump has declared war on the FBI, the Justice Department, the military, our intelligence community. He's picked people, think about this, who will go after the very departments they're supposed to run. That's what this is about.
Right, and Amisha, it's about going after the departments that are supposed to run, but it's also about metaphorically blowing them up, to rendering them basically useless.
It is, and I think that's the part of the authoritarianism that many people, including yourself, have been talking about months before this election started, because Donald Trump, through 2016 and beyond, has been trying to lessen faith in our systems, all systems of government, up to and including the Department of Justice, up to and including the Department of Education. You name the department, he doesn't want Americans to believe in it. He doesn't want them to believe in the press either. And I think that he is somewhat acting as the MAGA Santa. He made a list and he's checking it twice, and he is out here doing exactly what he ran on multiple times. He is working to diminish faith in our systems, and in so doing, eradicate the purpose of those systems in its entirety. We should be vigilant, but we should also understand that the American public, unfortunately, the voters, they gave a sizable victory towards Donald Trump, and we've seen up and down the ticket, be it whether it was the House, the Senate, or the White House, he feels he has the full deck, and he is going out on his retribution train with a lot of support from the individuals who also have an R in front of their name.
Oh, well, speaking of, we played it yesterday. Let's play it today. This is Congressman Troy Nehls, Republican of Texas, talking to reporters on Wednesday about how they, well, when they hear their master's voice, what happens?
His mission and his goals and objectives, whatever that is, we need to embrace it. All of it. Every single word in his mission statement, we need to embrace. If Donald Trump says jump 3 feet high and scratch your head, we all jump 3 feet high and scratch our heads. That's it.
I mean, so much for checks and balances, co-equal branch of government.
Jonathan, when I turned against Donald Trump 6 years ago, I took a blowtorch to my career, but the alternative was to be that, to be a cultist following their cult leader. And this needs to be said to what Amish said. Donald Trump has convinced, Jonathan, millions and millions of Americans that the Justice Department is our enemy. Our intelligence officials are our enemy. This so-called deep state thing. Man, I don't think most Americans really fully understand yet what Donald Trump is going to do, the destruction he's going to ensue.
Well, his son, Donald Trump Jr., was on Fox News Sunday Morning Futures today talking about the people his father has chosen to serve in the highest positions in government. Listen to this.
It's about surrounding my father with people who are both competent and loyal. They will deliver on his promises. They will deliver on his message. They are not people who think they know better as unelected bureaucrats. You know, some of them are going to be controversial. They're controversial because they'll actually get things done. The swamp doesn't want that.
Some of them will be controversial? Amisha, They're all controversial with the exception of a few, like Senator Marco Rubio, but come on.
Yeah, competency is something they all lack. Loyalty is something they have. I think that, the high price of loyalty for Donald Trump was that in his last iteration of a presidency, there were stalwarts who were like, hey, you cannot do this. You cannot order the military to shoot Black Lives Matter protesters in the streets. He wants a military that will be willing and able to do that without any level of pushback. So I think that what he is working to do is choose people that he knows will not go against him no matter what. People who've lost a soul, who've lost their minds, and are absolutely fine being in these roles. It seems the only qualification you need to have to join the Trump administration as a cabinet member is somebody who's been accused of sexual assault.